let's start here. With the way that the Warriors won the NBA championship in a somewhat unconventional way, where they end up sitting Andrew Bogut after those first 3 games, they go small to win that series in 6. Does that have any impact on how teams will draft this year?
I think it could. Maybe not in terms of how teams will draft. Maybe at the top when teams are looking to acquire a potential starter. But, down the board, I'm not so sure, in the 20s and 30s, teams are going to be looking to get a guy who, a small ball type of guy, a big guy. I think it's going to be, depending on that particular situation. But I'm sure there are a few guys in this year's field who a team could say, you know what, this small forward could actually be a really solid small power forward and allow us to play small and play fast. So it'll be on the back of teams' minds for teams, targeting that type of player.
Is the true center position in the NBA being just completely phased out? I mean, the Patrick Ewings, the Robinsons, just all the big center names, Robert Parrish, names like that. Is the true center going away?
Well, it's tough to say whether it's just coincidence. I mean, we just haven't seen a lot of post players come out of college in the past, 10 years or so. And because of that, we've seen a lot of 7-footers who are above the rim athletes, 7-footers who are shooting threes now. It's changing. Again, it might just be coincidence, and it might change again in another 10 years. But right now, the big guys that are coming out of college are big time athletes. Your DeAndre Jordans, who don't have many ball skills, but they can get you easy buckets down low. Or you have other guys like Porzingis, like you mentioned before, who's 7'1" and could stroke the three, play the pick and pop, stretch the floor, and attack facing up from 25 feet away. So yeah, it's definitely changing. And it'll be interesting to see, where it goes from here.
Jonathan Wasserman, NBA draft lead writer for Bleacher Report, joining us on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3. And I'm glad you brought up Porzingis. There's been a lot of talk about this, guys. Some people think he could go as high as number 3 to the 76ers. For those that aren't familiar with him, give us a little backstory on him and where you think he might end up come Thursday night.
Yeah, he's from Latvia. He's been playing at a high level overseas in Spain. And listen, he's a 7-footer. He's 7'1". I met him a few weeks ago in Brooklyn, and he's all of 7'1". He's also 220 pounds, and he's extremely skinny, and that plays to the risk that he presents. But he's a big-time athlete. He plays above the rim. He has a jump shot that gives you the impression that everyone is going to fall. I mean, it's just a natural shooting stroke. He can score a little bit in the mid-range. He can create his own shot. That's kind of what I've drawn the Dirk Nowitzki comparisons. And, you take his scoring ability in between, you take his three-point shot, you take his size, his athleticism, and you get upside. And that's why you're hearing about teams potentially looking at him in the top 3. Personally, I think it's a little bit, smoke right now and just noise. I really can't picture the Philadelphia 76ers taking a risk on Porzingis over a guy like DeAngelo Russell, who's obviously a great fit for them and more of a sure thing considering we've seen him dominate the college ranks. But, he's got one of the higher ceilings in this year's field. And, the only obstacle for him is overcoming, the physical transition. Is he going to be strong enough to bang down low, to separate, to finish after contact? He's a risk-reward play, but if he does hit, I mean, we could be talking about, a mismatch of potential all-star someday.
Well, he's only 19 years old. You say 7'1", 220. You're right. That's a rail. It's but it's now, obviously when he gets into the NBA and can get on some of these nutrition programs and things like that, they can bulk him up and beef him up a little bit. But if they put muscle and weight on him, does that affect his outside shooting and his mobility? Because a lot of the things that have been talked about is excellent footwork. Like you said, the pick and pop comes off the screens well. Maybe needs a little bit of work on ball handling. But if they bulk him up a little bit to bang around it down low, is that going to take away a little bit of that footwork?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's so athletic that I don't think it's going to matter. He needs that bulk. He needs a good 10, 15 pounds, the way it seemed like Anthony Davis put on when he came out of college. And like you said, he's 19 years old. He's got the body. He's got the time to add that weight. I don't think it's going to affect, his quickness off the dribble or his ability to blow by guys or his jump shot. He's got the frame ready to add that 15 pounds, and if he does, he's going to be a mismatch.
Well, let's talk about number 1, Minnesota. They've been on the clock for a while now. There's some that think it's going to be Karl Anthony Towns. Others think maybe Jahlil Okafor. Which way do you see it going? Who does Minnesota take first overall next Thursday night?
I'd be shocked if it wasn't Karl Anthony Towns. I know we've heard Flip Saunders likes Jahlil Okafor, but everybody likes Jahlil Okafor. He's a fantastic post player. We don't see too many of those anymore, and he's got high IQ. There's not much to not like about him, but in terms of upside, we always see these teams chase the upside, chase the guy with the highest ceiling. And really, Towns doesn't offer any risk. He's a better athlete than Okafor. He shot 81% from the line, and if you ever see him practice, he could shoot threes all day. And he's got a developing low post game. I know Okafor is more polished right now, but you could always add polish over time, and he's got the physical tools. He's also a big-time rim protector, and Minnesota lacks interior defense with Pekovic, who also can't stretch the floor. He plays mostly inside. I just think he's the perfect fit for Minnesota and also the best prospect with the highest ceiling and a high basement floor. I don't really think it should be a question. And I know they're not going to announce that he's the guy until Adam Silver does on June 25th, but I'd be really, really shocked if they don't go with Towns.
Jonathan Wasserman, NBA draft lead writer for Bleacher Report, joining us. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville, 105.3. The world of sports these days, regardless of what sport it is very much a what have you done for me lately kind of thing. And Okafor didn't look all that great in that national championship game for Duke. Does that give some teams concerns, or is he still going number 2 to the Lakers at the end of the day?
Well, at the end of the day, it's about the upside. I mean, he didn't blow people away because he didn't improve. We didn't see any improvement. We saw Towns improve from day one till the last day of the season from his post game, his shooting stroke. Okafor was a good post player, but he didn't improve on defense. He didn't improve his shooting stroke. It got worse. And then, like you said, he got exposed against Frank Kaminsky, who kind of blew him away and exposed him out in the perimeter. And nowadays, big guys, you have to be able to defend outside because the centers are able to shoot. And so, it's definitely not in his favor that he didn't show the improvement. But again, he's so skilled. He's so big. He's so smart. He's not going to fall further than number 4, worst case scenario, which is even hard to believe. The factor with Philadelphia, who already has a bunch of bigs, they may just pass on him just to fill a need. But I still think, you asked me today, I think he goes to the Lakers. He's the sure thing. They love him in LA. But the non-improvement will definitely be considered.
Well, DeAngelo Russell, I know a lot of the mock drafts have him going 4th overall to the Knicks. Russell is one of those. He's kind of intriguing to me, at least. Could this guy be maybe another Russell Westbrook in a few years? I mean, he's got that kind of talent, doesn't he?
Yeah, he could be one of the top guards in the league, no doubt about it. If I had to make a ranking right now, I'd rank him ahead of Okafor in terms of. I think he's got a higher ceiling. These guards have an easier time making the transition, and his basement floor. I mean, he's going to be a good player. He's one of the most skilled guards we've seen come out of college. Probably the most skilled since Kyrie Irving, particularly for a teenage kid. And he's got the intangibles. I mean, he's a smart kid. He's confident. He's poised. He's mature, and he's got the versatility to play either position, and that's big in today's NBA. He's got the size and that 41% shooting stroke from downtown to slide off the ball at the 2. He's a guy who could take over games. He's not a superstar athlete, but just like we saw with Steph Curry, you don't need to be a superstar athlete when you're that skilled, and I don't think he's exactly a stiff out there. So if you ask me, I think the Lakers should take him at number 2, but from what I hear and just my gut says, they play it safe with Okafor.
Is there a guy out there that not a lot of people are talking about that you feel could be a steal in this draft?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who's talking. I think Cameron Payne from Murray State was a guy who I've been saying for months, needs to be in the conversation. And finally, he is now. He's a fantastic point guard who's going to be taken in the lottery, whether it's by Oklahoma City, Phoenix, maybe a team trades up to get him. The only knock against Cameron Payne is the resume in terms of strength of schedule, playing in the Ohio Valley. And, like Damian Lillard, he's super skilled. I mean, this is a guy who could start in the NBA for a long time, and he's kind of behind a guy like Emmanuel Mudiay, the kid from China, who's regarded as a top 5 talent. He's got the athleticism, the size, the upside, but again, I like skill when it comes to point guards, and Cameron Payne, to me, is a guy who could probably be better than Emmanuel Mudiay. He's not in the top 5 conversation, but he could be one of the top point guards from this draft.
One more for you, Jonathan, and we'll let you go. Jonathan Wasserman from Bleacher Report, NBA draft lead writer, joining us on Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville, 105.3. We sit here at the bottom of the state of Indiana, Pacers country. Who do you like them to take there at number 11 on round number 1?
Well, I like a few guys there. I think Trey Lyles, the hometown kid, I think he'd be a really good play there just based on talent. And Pacers looking to play a little bit faster. He's a versatile power forward. He can play inside and out. I think he'd be a good fit. Frank Kaminsky from Wisconsin, another good fit. Obviously a little bit different from Roy Hibbert, but I think that's what Larry Bird's looking to go for. A big guy who can give you spacing, who could stretch the floor, a high IQ guy. He's not the same caliber rim protector. But if you're looking for rim protection, another guy, Miles Turner from Texas, he'll be in consideration at number 11. And unlike Hibbert, again, he's a guy who could shoot threes and protect the rim. He's really rare, maybe a little bit of a risk, not the most athletic guy, doesn't move particularly well, but those are the three guys I see on the radar, as well as Cameron Payne, who I just mentioned before. He'll be in play at number 11 as well.
Jonathan Wasserman from Bleacher Report, NBA draft lead writer. Jonathan, we appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. You can follow Jonathan on Twitter at NBA Draft WASS, W-A-S-S. Jonathan, thanks a lot, and enjoy your weekend.
Yep, thanks, guys.